The political fire surrounding Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Steele is growing after his controversial remarks about the Afghanistan war. Joining me in today's strategy session, two CNN contributors, Roland Martin and John Avlon. John is also a senior political columnist for the dailybeast.com. Now, you guys have been following this for the last couple of days or so. Clearly, this has not gone away. It's spilling into this week. A lot of people whose ears sparked up when they heard Michael Steele calling Afghanistan, the U.S. mission in Afghanistan, Obama's war. He also questioned whether or not it would ultimately be successful when you look at the history. I want you to take a listen to two Republicans and how they interpreted Michael Steele's comments.
Dismayed, angry, upset. It was an uninformed, unnecessary, unwise, untimely comment. This is not President Obama's war. This is America's war.
I enjoyed the fact that we're willing to have a discussion about the popularity of this war. And truly, it is Obama's war, even though it was started during the last administration. Obama said this is the good war, and he's expanding the war, and the American people aren't with him.
Does he have a point here? I mean, President Obama was asked this question a couple of times, whether or not this will turn into his war. He has certainly embraced it as a part of U.S. policy. Was Michael Steele essentially making a point, saying it may have started under President Bush, but now it has been handed off and has become the new president, or the president now almost of 2 years, President Obama's war?
Absolutely. Michael Steele is absolutely correct. The reality is liberals did not want to see the expansion of this particular war. And the reality is, when it is on your watch, you then own it. He had a choice. We could have pulled out. We could have downsized, but we didn't. So I get the whole deal about Bush starting it, but he is the president now. He had a choice. He made the choice. Now he has to own the decisions.
John, what do you think of all the fury among the Republicans?
Well, look, I think they're responding to the larger point, which is that this isn't President Obama's war. It's America's war. We have troops on the ground, and the last thing you want to see is people using partisan politics to sort of skimmy positioning on this. And that's why there's an outcry. Republicans have backed President Obama on his decision to double down in Afghanistan, and you don't want to see an RNC chairman playing politics. Look, Ron Paul's consistent. He's been a part of this neo-isolationist crowd from the beginning. He opposed these two wars. But the right thing to do is that partisan politics should stop at the water's edge. That's why Michael Steele's come under criticism, and he should for this.
Suzanne, it's not playing politics, because the reality is this here, okay? And we have to accept it. And that is, this is a hugely unpopular war. When Michael Steele made the point that who has won a land war in Afghanistan in the last 1,000 years. We have a difficult road there. You have everybody in Washington, D.C. trying to figure out, what does victory look like? How can we somehow spin this whole deal? It is not going well. And so therefore, where's the plan to give Americans confidence that we can actually win whatever win is? Michael Steele's problem here is, frankly, he was too honest about that aspect. And Republicans, they don't want the RNC chairman saying that, but I think Democrats and Republicans have to own up to, what are we doing in Afghanistan? Is it working? And if not,
John,
then what do we do?
You were laughing or smiling while Roland was talking. Tell us why.
Yeah. Because we still, look, President Obama made a decision to double down. We are still in the process of a troop increase. We have not yet gone into Kandahar. This is an operation that is still ongoing with a commitment to increase U.S. troops. You do not try to undercut support for the president or support for our troops in the middle of an escalation when we are trying to win this thing and defeat the Taliban, which has been a force for evil in the world. That's why there's criticism here. Look, I think Michael Steele gets a bad rap from a lot of folks in his own party. But on this, when there's a perception that someone is trying to play politics and shift policy for political gain, that when we have troops on the ground sacrificing their lives for U.S. interests, trying to defeat terrorism, that place where the 9/11 hijackers use as a base of operations, that's what we're trying to get the job done. We took our eye off the ball in Afghanistan, and now trying to finish it.
Okay, I want to turn.
But even the troops don't know what we're doing. Even the troops are saying, what are we accomplishing here?
Well, look, you know, President Obama's set a strategy. We've got David Petraeus in there. Let's try to unify the country and reaffirm that basic principle. Partisan politics have got to stop at the water's edge.
I want to take a look at the independents. There's a new poll here that's rather alarming. It's a new Gallup poll. It says that independent voters are leaning Republican by a 10-point margin here. You see the difference in March. Those independents who were leaning Republican 44%, Democrat 36%. Now in June, it's 46% to 34%. How much trouble does this spell for the Democrats going into the midterm elections when you've got more independents, they're moving towards the Republican side?
Big time. This is, look, independents are the largest and fastest growing segment of the electorate. Independents determine who wins or loses elections. And if you've got independents swinging, who voted for President Obama by an 8-point margin, swinging to Republicans consistently by now 12 points, that should be a serious wake-up call to Democrats, because there's no way they're going to hold on to the margins they've got without the support of independents. The independents voted for them by 17% in 2006. That's that margin of victory. If they swing the other way, Republicans have the wind at their back, and it's later than you think in this election.
Roland, you got 10 seconds.
Suzanne, the problem with this poll is that congressional districts are a lot smaller than national elections. What happened locally makes a difference. In fact, independents are swinging that way, but trust me, you are seeing a different type of deal in these smaller congressional districts. And so I can't put stock in sort of this national poll when it's really local elections.
Roland, John, got to leave it there. Thank you so much. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Vice President Joe Biden in the war zone. There is some color from his surprise trip to Iraq. A dramatic drug bust at sea puts the spotlight on cocaine smuggling submarines. And a fascinating story behind the horns that seem to be everywhere. Yep, during the World Cup. You heard them.
When my doctor told me that my chronic bronchitis was COPD, I started managing it every day. I like to volunteer, hit the courts, and explore new places. I'm breathing better with Spiriva.
Spiriva is the only once-daily inhaled maintenance treatment for both forms of COPD, which includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema.
I take it every day. It keeps my airways open to help me breathe better all day long.
Spiriva does not replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms. Stop taking Spiriva